Hey guys, Ron Musgraves, Pressure Washing Institute Contractors First. I am here with Robert from Property Pros in Las Vegas, Nevada. Also, Robert does an event in February, an annual event every year, CPW Live, guys. It's down there in the description. If you guys are interested in commercial stuff, and by the way, I want to tell everybody before I let Robert introduce himself, I want to tell everybody that this is a commercial cold calling. So all the guys in there that are chiming in about the strategies and things like that, this is a completely different strategy than in the residential world. Robert, introduce yourself. Tell everybody who you are and what you do and how many, is it 9 figures now or 10? How many figures are you up to now?
I wish, buddy. No, we're still in 7, man. We're still in 7. Yeah, my name is Robert Eisenstadt. I own a commercial pressure washing company here in Las Vegas, Nevada called Property Pros Pressure Washing. Been in business about a decade, a lot of ups and downs. Started as a carpet cleaning business, went to opened up a pressure washing division, opened up a handyman company, started losing about $20,000 a month because I was spread too thin, wasn't able to pay attention to my numbers. Scaled everything back to just the pressure washing. It went from 70,000 to 7 figures in a little less than 3 years. That's my claim to fame. And we've been growing ever since. CPW was kind of started out of a thing that, I was searching for help in the commercial world. There wasn't a lot of you and me's that existed. So it actually started as a Facebook group. Our Facebook group is called Commercial Pressure Washing Contractors. There's about 1,000 people in there. I manage that group pretty tightly of not letting people come in and be able to, share their marketing companies and all this other stuff that you see in all the other groups. I don't really like that stuff. I'm a big guy on strategy and actually trying to help people. And so that kind of is what started the Commercial Pressure Washing Live event, which, our first event was last year in February. Great success. There was about 85 people there. I've heard nothing but amazing feedback from the event. This year is going to definitely have a significant increase in attendees. I've already had people telling me asking me when's the next event? What's going on? People learned a lot and changed a lot inside of their businesses by attending CPW Live. So I'm really excited. We got a new venue for this year. A lot of exciting things going on in the background for sure.
There was a lot of guys. The thing I was impressed with. Well, I was upset that I didn't make the event, but one of the things I was impressed with was how many guys had actually said after the event what a great event it was as a paid event, and all the stuff that they had gotten from it and that they were able to take home and actually utilize to build their businesses, which was awesome. That's always an awesome thing to hear about when guys leave an event and they really talk it up like, hey, it was a great event. It's always awesome to see that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, look, man, that venue, people had great things to say just about the venue alone. The food was great. It was awesome that we were in one room. The vendors were there, were great. We had F9 there. We had Ninja VA there. We had Hilo Solutions there. That stuff costs a lot of money to put together, man. Like a lot of money to host an event in a ballroom with audio and visual and food for, almost 100 people for, 2 days. It's a lot of money. So it is what it is. You gotta pay to play.
It's not free, is it? That's for sure. It's unbelievable what people don't realize about how much money those venues cost and how expensive they are. And I love it when it's $42 for cold cuts. You know what I mean? A plate.
And that's the thing, dude. Like last year we charged $537 for a ticket. If you did not come there and get $537 worth of value to put into your business, it is an issue. Like that is on you, not the event, because there was so much value packed into that event.
Absolutely, man. It was crazy. It was crazy. Lots of good things about the event. Well, hey, let's get into this, man. We've do this a couple of times throughout the rest of the year. We're not going to go every week. Rob and I are not going to go every week. We might when it gets closer to the event. But right now, we wanted to add some value to what you guys are doing and show you guys a little glimpse, not completely in depth, but we're talking about cold calling today. And I want to ask you something, Robert. What do you think? What do you think your number one strategy is for cold calling? I mean, where does it start? What's your number one thing?
Well, where does it start is research.
So vetting the customer.
Yeah, well, I mean, I like to break it down into categories. And again, we had a conversation about us doing this yesterday. We're going to have different opinions and we're going to argue, and and that's okay. That's why I actually enjoy talking to you. Because
I don't know if we're going to argue. Okay?
I hope we do, because I like my opinion sometimes getting challenged, I like to challenge your opinion. So
it's always good to debate opinions.
Yes.
Because I've had my mind changed many times by mentors and people that are in the industry. You know what I mean?
The way that I like to do my cold calls is I like to break it out into different sectors of commercial, right? Like today, I'm gonna do some cold calling today, actually, and I like to focus on certain types of commercial. For example, one day I will focus on just restaurants. The next day I might focus on just hospitals. The next day, I might focus on just commercial property management companies or facility managers or whatever that might look like.
Let's explain why we both do that, okay? There's numbers of reasons, right? Because the strategy is different.
Yeah.
Okay. The times of the year are different, right?
Yep.
When we go by budget season, all of the retail and industrial and all that commercial stuff, it kind of, I want to say it ever dies out, but it definitely, there's a time period. Yes. So then you have to focus on other avenues of commercial that are still selling. And one of the things about restaurants, and these guys don't know, is I always tell guys to practice on restaurants, because that's where you can sharpen everything you got, you know what I mean, and utilize it rather than trying to sharpen it on a $250,000 customer. You're sharpening on a $5,000 account, total, and those accounts that are, and they're easier to sell too. So you get some victories, and then we all know this. And this is another one we could talk about: route building, right? Because you've got to get sometimes smaller jobs inside with these larger jobs that might only be 5 or 6 hours, because you want to make that route more profitable. So a nice little restaurant inside of a shopping center, maybe a freestanding building, adds another 200 or 300 in revenue each month when you go to that shopping center. And people, I guess, don't realize that. And that's another topic we could talk about, because
typically it's backwards for me a little bit, which is actually kind of funny, because again, with cold calling, right, you always want to have justification for the call and also be able to utilize leverage. Right. And so for me, right, like because a lot of people don't know this too, inside of a retail shopping center, there might be standalone buildings that they do not manage. Right. And so what I like to do, if I am, let's say, for example, that shopping center that I sent you that picture of, that was right behind the hotel of CPW. I shot like a couple of videos there, right? Like we manage that retail shopping center. We clean it on a monthly basis. One of the things that I will do is I will reach out to those standalone buildings and utilize the fact that we already are on site every month, and I can give them a better deal by just adding them to that same schedule, right? So I will call or walk in, whatever it might be. I will call that, let's say, restaurant, and I will speak to the owner, say, hey, I'm the pressure washing company that manages the retail shopping center that your building is located in. We are out there every month. I noticed that your concrete might be able to utilize or use a little love. We're the vendor that's on site anyways. I can give you a good deal for some monthly service on your restaurant if that's something that you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say it exactly like that, but just kind of.
Yeah, no, and it goes back to the name dropping, right? They know they might even be paying landscaping cam or lighting maintenance cam, but they're not paying for the sidewalk cleaning cam, right? So they know who the management company is of the center because they're in that community, right? And so and you're right, it does matter. And here's the other thing. Sometimes we all know this, there's tenants inside of CAM that need to be cleaned more frequently. And those are always opportunities as well, because if you've got a grocery store or big box store and they're being cleaned one time a month on CAM, we've all done it. We've shown up when the actual pressure washer that was washing the big box store was washing the store, and then we had to wash it right after they washed it. Everybody's wasting money, right?
Yep.
Because we're washing it again right after they had cleaned it. Well, if they hire you, then they can get on a schedule and alternate that service, where if they don't do that, there's no telling when their guy might come out or might not. Their guy might come right after we cleaned it, and then they're wasting more money, you know?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of reasons, but yeah, I love picking the particular avenue also that I want to do. I hate to say this, but I only cold call restaurants now for training purposes. I mean, I'm just going to be honest. I'm not interested in restaurants. I know a lot of guys are. They're very profitable. I'll tell this number. 66 restaurants is a $300,000 route. That's all it is. 66 restaurants on a monthly basis is $300,000. That's all it takes, is 66 of them. Hell, there's a lot of venues that have more than 60 restaurants in it. You know, if you're in my city. Now, if you're in Las Vegas, obviously there's still a lot of restaurants. You guys are like the restaurant capital of the world there. But you know, you're not as big as Phoenix. You're not as big as Los Angeles. We have literally a quarter mile here where there's 300 restaurants within a quarter of a mile. I don't know if you've got something that dense in Vegas, but people don't realize also that all these restaurant groups, if you ever notice that, they all build right next to each other. They want to be all in the same place.
Yeah, I mean, there are definitely a lot of like franchisee owners out here that have 50 plus restaurants. Those are our ideal clientele. But, you know, I don't want to necessarily talk too much about who the ideal clientele is. I kind of want to try and focus on the actual cold calling process and or at least structure and reasoning why cold calling is extremely important inside of the commercial pressure washing world. Because I think that a lot of the guys out there are having a hard time. I mean, I've seen it probably 10 times in the past week of people posting in various pressure washing groups of like, how do I get commercial leads, or how do I get leads? I don't know how to do this. And it's like, pick up the fucking phone, start calling, right? So let me ask you a question, and let's go based off of your flyer that you made here. The open your eyes call. Why don't you break down what that means a little bit?
Let's do it. Basically, you're not looking when you're doing a cold call. So many people don't really know, and this is part of it too. And this goes into the theory of knowing who you're talking to, right? You know what I mean? And I'll go from one extreme to the next. If we're walking into a property manager's office to do a cold call, okay, on them, we have to know what a property manager does. And I'll explain this. It's very simple. They are the landlord. That's what they do. So when you're walking into that office, they're never getting any good news. Okay. Their type of problems that they're handling every day are always problems. Okay. And the last thing you want to do is go into one of those offices and be a cheesy salesperson, because believe me, they've got the cheesy sales guys coming in every day for their business every day. But let's flip this, and let's say I'm in new construction and I'm walking into a contractor's construction trailer, okay? And I don't mean to be sexist, but let's just tell these people what this reality is. Knowing who you're selling to is the most important thing. And that's why I say open your eyes, because walking into a property manager office, 82% of the pro buyers are females between the ages of 35 and 50. Okay. That's the demographics. So you have to know who it is you're cold calling. So if I walk into a construction trailer and I drive up in my Prius and I hand them one of my fingernail files with my company name on it inside of a construction office, what do you think the gibberish is when I leave and I walk out and I get into my Prius? Do you think that these construction workers are going to be hiring me anytime soon?
No.
Okay. And that's why I always tell people, when you go into an office and you're cold calling, open your eyes up. And you got to know who the clientele is that you're selling, because you got to know all of their pain points. Okay. And new construction is going to be completely different than going into a property management company that needs reoccurring services all the time. Okay. Yeah. Not that the construction thing's a bad thing, and you're going to go and you might sell an entire development of houses, 400 houses. You might wash them all, okay, on new construction. And there's money in both. But you and I both, I think, agree that the reoccurring model of service is where the real money is made. Of course, we've both done our one and dones, and we've got clients that you have to do one and dones for, because you've got all their reoccurring business. So you're going to wash their one and dones for them. Okay. But that's basically the open eye thing, is you need to really know who you're walking into, because if you don't know who you're selling to, how strange would that call be? I mean, you're talking there. You don't understand CAM. You don't understand that they might have
the people that don't understand. You should at least talk about the abbreviation of what CAM even means.
Well, I don't know. Maybe we should talk. Maybe we should just do a triple net podcast and explain to everybody what that is, because I don't think you could really explain what that is, and people wouldn't even believe it if you told them what it is. Okay. people don't even understand that it's not even their money, that they're spending, and people don't understand that concept when I say that. And now that'll get some people curious. And what I suggest you do is go ahead and Google Triple Net with Ron Musgrave's name on it, and you'll find my blog about Triple Net and CAM, and it'll explain the whole thing and the whole process to you. But I agree with you. I think we should go over that in a future show. But I think that if we want to go through these cold calling steps and keep this to wait a minute, we're already over the 20 minutes we were supposed to be.
It's okay. We're good. Okay. So let me break this down really quick on kind of what you went over, because it was a lot, right?
Yes.
So basically, when you're calling somebody, you want to understand who you are calling, when you are calling, and why you are calling, right? So the open your eyes call, what does that mean? That means that if you are going to call a commercial property management company, you best know when you should be calling them, because if you are trying to cold call them in December and January, you've already failed. You've already lost, right? Because they just finalized their budgets and they just sent out their contracts. You need to understand, sorry, my AI camera. You need to understand when you should be calling them. And if you guys are watching this right now, now is the time that you should be starting to reach out to these commercial property management companies, because we are getting into budget season. If you guys don't know what budget season is, there's a whole story about that. Now,
how many weeks do we have left?
How many what?
How many weeks of budget season do we have left?
I mean, typically, I think it also varies depending on the property management company, to be honest with you, because some are super prepared and some wait till the very last minute. But budget season for us typically ends in August.
So let's just dive into this. So let's talk about the difference between a cold call to a restaurant and a difference between a cold call to a property manager. So let's ad lib there. You ring me. I say, hey, this is Ron, property manager. Give me the 3 or 4 top things you say you want to, and you're right. You want to know what you're doing calling these people. So The bottom line is, I'll start off a couple of questions I want to know. When are you finalizing the budget? Do you have a problem property that you want me to look at? Can you send me the list of your properties for your 2027 budget cycle, right? And if they send you the properties, they're probably serious about getting alternative estimates, okay? Remember, I always want to warn people, sometimes you're a dummy bidder, okay? They've got a relationship with somebody and you've got to overcome, we have someone, okay? That's okay, right? If they get on the phone and they say, we have someone, hey, come right back and say, we appreciate loyalty. We appreciate that. We don't mind being your second string guy, but smart people have what? Options, okay?
Yep.
And they all do. It's just that you might be technically their fourth string guy now because they already got a second and third string guy.
Let's have a little fun really quick, right?
Yeah.
Because I want to hear what your battle to the objection would be, because this had come up quite a few times, not only in my coaching group, but also I've seen it quite a few times in some other groups. And so I want to ask you this. Let's say you call a facility manager. Okay. They manage, let's say, 50 properties. And they say, oh, we were just talking about this in your group, in your Facebook group chat. Let's say that they say, hey, we have an in-house maintenance team that already handles that. What is your, I always forget the word, but battle to that objection? What is your, what's the word I'm looking for?
Let me show you how we can save you money. And I'm not talking about saving them money and doing the service for less money. I'm talking about doing a deep cleaning so that their maintenance people can direct more time to other things, so I can save them money. I can save them money on labor. I can save them money on chemicals. Therefore, they can justify using me to do the deep clean and keeping the standards much higher than their current team is doing it.
So the way that I go about it actually falls perfectly into how your flyer is structured, right? Mm-hmm. Because when I'm doing a cold call, let's say for this facility manager that has 50 properties, they have their own in-house maintenance team. What I'm going to do is again, I'm always trying to build relationships with people. I'm never trying to pitch a sale right off the bat, right? I'm trying to kind of gauge the relationship, build a little bit of trust, and let them know that we are here for them to help become a partner inside of their business, because that's what it's really about, is becoming a partner with them for our businesses, right? So let's say same situation happens to me. They say, hey, Robert, we have our own in-house maintenance team. Usually what I say is something along the lines of, hey, that's great. I'm so glad you guys are getting taken care of. We actually already work with a lot of other companies that have their own in-house maintenance team. But what they typically like to do with us is set us up as a vendor anyways, because it doesn't cost you any money and it doesn't cost me any money to become a vendor with you. And in case you guys end up in a situation where you're understaffed or an emergency happens and your in-house maintenance team can't get to it, then we'll always be in your back pocket in case that situation arises. And it's impossible for anybody to say that doesn't make sense.
No, it absolutely is. And it's a backup system, right? Because they might be under a corporate inspection, corporate inspection, and they're dedicated their employees to some other tasks. They can absolutely call you, especially if they already have the pricing, and they know what it's going to cost. They might call you, and that's the opportunity that you're seeking, is when they're under some kind of a pressure cooker like that. Because we all know, how many times have we sold clients based upon that inspection type of thing, or owners are touring the property and they don't like the way their in-house maintenance team's handling things, so they wind up hiring a pro. We were just talking about this earlier. You're absolutely right. I don't know of very many people, especially in the retail. I'm not going to say in the commercial in general, but in the retail space, they may be washing on their own. They may have their own in-house people, but I've found that most of all these folks are taking exterior deep cleaning bids from professional contractors, and they're using them. I question sometimes I won't mention the name of some of the venues that are cleaning. I always wonder if it's fantasy washing going on, because I never really see the deep cleaning going on. I see their employees, but I know that they are paying for it because I've seen the RFPs and I've seen them be awarded to people, and the places are still dirty, and that's just a whole nother show about how we've seen guys in our industry that think pressure washing is going there and glorified rinsing it with a wand, not taking up the oil, not taking up the gum, but they're calling themselves pressure washers. And it drives probably both of us out of our minds, because we're not going to offer that type of a service. When we get done cleaning a surface, it's clean, and that's, I don't even understand why guys even try to run their businesses like that, because I don't understand how there's a value for the customer when you sit there and say, well, we pressure washed it, but they didn't pay us to remove the gum. Like, what do they need you for if you're not there to remove the gum and the soil and the stains? I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
So what's the next topic? Since you're reading that poster, go ahead. Let's go to the next one.
Ask for more properties.
Ask them for more properties. What about like when you're in there and whoever it is you're talking to, you're never going to on a cold call, and it happens. But we all both know that when you make a cold call and somebody's too quick to jump on service, we always in our back of our minds, okay, are these people not paying people, or why are they all, and that's a red flag, isn't it? When somebody wants to immediately, engage in a relationship and start service today, isn't that always a red flag?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It rarely, I don't really ever see that happen though.
It happens. It's happened to me. And 9 times out of 10, it's the same situation of when, and you might be experiencing this a little bit differently than I was, but back in the day, commercial calls didn't come via internet. The good commercial people, they're all networking amongst each other, and they're using an internal referral system. And they don't usually go to Google to find somebody. It just doesn't happen. Is that the way it still is?
It does happen. But for people that, yes, it does happen. People do go on Google to find, but you're also talking about the people that aren't like necessarily integrated to the community, don't have a ton of connections or relationships. Maybe somebody just moved from California and just, got a job managing some kind of portfolio, whatever that might be. Like, those people are going to definitely go on Google.
Yeah. What about name dropping when you're cold calling? That's a great tactic, right?
Well, again, justification, right? So, let's say, like I talked about the retail shopping center and maybe the restaurant. Hey, we're already servicing your property. We deal with this property management company. We're already going to be on site. That's like kind of a sense of name dropping, right? Yep. But what do you mean by name dropping? Are you talking about like
when you're calling a restaurant, right? We all know that these restaurant groups have managers, general managers, DMs, regional managers. And if you're name dropping and saying, hey, regional manager Joe, we cleaned Kent's unit number 554. We did that last week. I don't know if they've talked to you, blah, blah, blah. We're the guys they want to use. We're on your vendor list. I mean, telling them all those things, right? That builds that, hey, we're already on the vendor list. It's going to be easy, painless to use us. We did Jimmy's store down the street. He's clean now. Maybe you give him a call, find out, and obviously, as well as I do, once they find out if it's the right guy using you, they're all anxious to jump on board, aren't they? Because they're like, oh, if Jimmy's using you, we got to use you. Because I don't think people understand that there's a little bit of a competitiveness amongst these restaurant general managers within their own group, right? The last thing they want to do is host a corporate meeting amongst managers at their unit, and it's a pigsty. Right? That'd be like the nightmare for them, right? And so if sometimes they know who the leaders are, because everybody has captains, right? So they know within their own organizations who the captains are. And if you can sell those captains in that group, you 9 times out of 10 can knock down the rest of them. Because if those guys are using you, the other people are so willingly to jump on board very quickly. So the name dropping thing, even in the property management business, because if they're a respected property manager in the industry and they've been around a long time, and we all know that there are certain groups, and this is why knowing who you got to sell, like I'll mention this, the Irvine Company in Southern California. And anybody that has been to an Irvine property in Southern California, you know you're on an Irvine property because there is a porter guy standing around when you throw a paper down, and they pick it up literally as you throw it on the ground. I'm not saying I did that, but I'm just trying to show you how anal they are about how they take care of their properties. And every curb is painted white in their entire shopping center, and they paint them probably once a month touch-up wise. So we all know that these groups exist. Those are also, when you talk about cold calling, you're targeting, I always say this, you're targeting clean places, not dirty ones.
Yeah. Well, and I always say clean places rent spaces.
Did you steal my phrase?
What?
Did you steal my phrase?
You say that too?
I've said that for 30 years. I got Stephen Button saying it. By the way, Stephen Button on a cold call is funny. He cold called doing an unsolicited proposal, and he sold a $637,000 residual income account. And he still does it to this day, and I'm sure it's over $1 million.
Yeah, I mean, outbound sales is extremely important. I'm really surprised that a lot more of the contractors aren't doing this. And I think it's just kind of like an analysis paralysis type deal. They don't know how to go about cold calling. They don't know how to structure the calls. They don't know who to call, when to call. You know, I invested tens and tens of thousands of dollars into data scraping softwares to be able to pull up people's information, so I have all that data for me to be able to call them, right?
And then AI came out, and we don't even need to pay for that stuff anymore.
No, I still use it.
You use CoStar?
No.
How come you don't use CoStar? Just out of curiosity. Too
much?
Too expensive?
Dude, the software that I use is $40,000.
Is it?
Yeah. The CoStar, you're going to find a lot of brokers on.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm trying to go after property management companies, I found that the best route of attack is typically the networking associations. That's what works best for us. I'm mainly using that software for facility managers, EVS managers or directors.
There's another show, right? Joining customer associations and how you go about it. Right.
Dude, dude, that's why I got into this whole CPW Live thing. That's why I started coaching. That's why all of this kind of exists, because, you know, people like, dude, I get messages every day. Hey, can you give me some tips on, dude, let me pull one up right now. Can you give me some tips on how to land commercial clients? And I'm just like, call people. I don't know what you expect me to be able to give you in, such a short period of time.
I'm going to give a cold calling tip right now. I'm asking
for some tips to get commercial work. I'm struggling.
This is
cold calling, emailing, LinkedIn, and networking. If you want it, like there's so much that goes into this.
But I'm going to give one of my biggest tips. This is one of my biggest cold calling tips. So before I cold call somebody, okay, one, I've already done the demo on their property. Two, I've already measured their property and gave them a proposal. But this is my biggest vet in, and if you kind of understand this, I'm going to look for something on their property that's a problem that has nothing to do with my services. And I'll give you an example. If I were to go on that property that day, and this happens more than people think it does, because we both live in the desert. We see a tree down in front of an entryway, and it's down because the night before there was a storm, right? And we're there doing our bidding. You know, we're going to go ahead and lay it. And believe me, I do all this before I've ever contacted them because you covered it first. We do the research to see who we want to do business with first. That's where it all starts. Okay. So I've gone through that. I know I want to do business with this client. Now I locate their shopping center. I drive there. I do the demo. I do the proposal. I have everything I need ready. Now I want to cold call them. Well, here's what I'm going to do to cold call them. I'm going to send them a picture, if I have their cell phone, of that tree down, telling them that, hey, man, you've got a tree down in front of your drive. You may want to get your landscaper out here and take care of this. I'm not going to tell them who I am other than my name, my first name, and a picture of that thing. I can guarantee you they are now going to call me back. Here's the two things that this does, and this could be with anything. You could show them a trip hazard. You could show them a tile falling off the roof from the eave. That's a liability for them. They're going to call you back they're going to call you back even if it's just to thank you for letting them know, okay? Yeah. So when you get them on the phone, you don't pitch them. That's the last thing that you do. You don't pitch them. It'll naturally come up what you do because they're going to ask you. I promise you. After they thank you, they're going to say, by the way, you know, what were you doing? And I always tell them I was shopping or I was doing something. But I would certainly love to. But by the way, I do sidewalk cleaning and I'd like to give them a bid for their 2027. At this point, they are not going to tell you no. Okay. They are obligated at this point because you've shown them now that you're the vendor that's going to be their eyes and their ears. Robert knows, and most of the people out here don't know, these people they do not get on these properties as often as you think they do. Sometimes they're located in China, Shanghai, Canada, Mexico, New York. They're not even in town, okay? And so when you showed them that, oh man, you know, this is terrible, and then they find out that the tree's been down in the driveway for 3 days and nobody else called them, not their landscaping company, not their sweeping company, not their lighting maintenance company, not even a tenant that did it. And there's another one I want to talk about. Remind me of this. I'll do this one in closing. There's always, have you found out, Robert, that there's always a Karen located inside of shopping centers and office buildings?
Oh, yeah, one of the tenants.
There's always a Karen, and it's always good to find who the Karen is because Karen knows everything. but that's just a strategy that I use, and they wind up calling me, and I've got 5 strategies that we'll share with you guys that you'll get a property manager. Because here's what I always have problems. Guys always say, they always tell you that it's very difficult to get a hold of a property manager. And I have 5 techniques that they will call you. And that's one of them.
It's good. It's all good stuff. Did you freeze?
Yeah, no, I didn't freeze. I'm I'm letting you talk, man. It's your turn.
No, I mean, dude, I think we.
You ever use that one?
Yes and no. I use it more for like restaurants and stuff. Personally, like for example, I really like to become a client of my ideal clients. Right. So for example, maybe I go, let's say Chick-fil-A, right? I might go eat lunch. If I'm going to go eat somewhere, I want to go eat somewhere that I have the opportunity to earn somebody's business. And so let's say I'm going to eat at Chick-fil-A. I'm going to go grab lunch at Chick-fil-A. I'll take pictures out of the outside of the concrete. Typically on Chick-fil-A's, if you look inside the building, it says who owns that Chick-fil-A. There's usually like a placard of who says is the managing member of that franchise.
Proprietor, owner. Yep, he's right there on the door.
So what I usually do is I will take photos. I'll go order my food while I'm eating or while I'm – God, this stupid camera. While I'm eating or while I am waiting for my food, I will research. I'll look that person up on LinkedIn. I'll send him the photos that I just took of his restaurant. Just say, hey, I'm eating at your restaurant right now. I come here all the time for lunch. When I was walking in, I noticed your concrete could use a little love. Would love the opportunity to provide you a proposal for some pressure washing.
Can I reverse that and tell them why they're called? I know you know why. What Robert did there was he immediately said, I'm your customer.
Yeah.
It's the same situation of I'm looking out for you. I'm going to be your eyes and ears. He told the person that I'm your customer. When the guy read that, he can't ignore that message. He has to address it because Robert is a customer. Okay. So that's very clever. That's a great strategy. Great strategy. I always just get them right there when I always ask if they're in. That's what I do. I just say I'm in because you're right. When you're sitting in that seat and you're eating their food, they're going to they're going to give you the time. Absolutely. And it's absolutely there he is. I'm your daddy and you need my services. Oh my God, Barry. That's Barry's strategy right there, guys. There it is right there.
I don't know how well that would work, but yeah. I've never tried that one.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll have to give her the old college try.
In closing, I want to tell you that this is the reason that guys need to be coming to CPW, because the strategy for a restaurant, the strategy for a thing, you might be able to sell a restaurant on the spot. You might, but you're not going to sell a property management. You're not going to sell what we call a pro buyer. You're not going to sell a pro buyer on the spot. If it happens, it's a long shot. Okay. And like you say, that might be a red flag, but the bottom line is there's two different types of strategies for those. And that goes back to knowing who you are selling and knowing who you want to go after, because even Robert picked up, that's a great thing. He's walking into Chick-fil-A to eat lunch. Okay. But he's probably not going to Burger King. He's probably not going to Jack in the Box. I don't know. Maybe he is. But, really? We all know who the people are that want to be clean and who the people are that don't care. And that goes back to, you got to know who you're selling. And you can knock yourself out trying that on and go in and try that strategy on a Jack in the Box. And trust me, you're going to be deaf ears to finding who even runs the restaurant, because 9 times out of 10, they don't know who's running the restaurant. But if you go into a Chick-fil-A, like he said, there is an owner in that unit, and he's usually there, and he does care how clean or dirty that place is. And that's the difference. And that goes back to me saying, not just knowing who you are, but you're looking for clean places to sell. Now, are you looking for clean places that are necessarily so clean that you, like when you take the pictures, it's completely clean? Trust me, I know that there are always hot spots, even places that look clean. There's always things that you can do better. And I know Robert knows this. Chick-fil-A has a thing about those curbs. They do not want the tire marks on those curbs. That's one of their pet peeves. That whole place can be clean as a whistle. And if those curbs are black, somebody at corporate headquarters doesn't like it, because I know this from selling so many of them. That's the one pet peeve that they have. And I don't know who started it, but it's been going on for the last 15 years.
Yeah. I mean, just to throw this out there, I can find the people who run those Jack in the Boxes and Burger Kings, and I have found them. But that's not what I was talking about.
It's Food Maker.
Well, there's restaurant groups that typically, like for example, DRG, they manage a lot of the Arby's and Taco Bells and all that kind of stuff, right? So like if you're able to understanding your client, understanding who you're reaching out to, when, why, all that stuff is really important. That's why that software has become extremely valuable to us and my coaching clients. I help these guys find the people that they're trying to do business with, and I help them land some of these accounts. There's opportunity everywhere, I should say. Who your ideal clientele is, now that's a different story. If you're spending a ton of time and effort chasing after these really small jobs, they can definitely compound for sure, right? But our ideal clientele is, 10, 20, 30 plus locations. It's just a lot more efficient and
So when you're qualifying a customer, so let's talk about this cold calling. You're qualifying a customer to call. Are you looking for 80,000 annually in revenue per year to 200? Where's your sweet spot in bringing?
First of all, I'm qualifying a customer before I even call them.
Correct. So where's the dollar amount? Because people don't understand when we're qualifying them for how much money they have. I at least I am. Okay.
So here's the thing, and this might be a little bit different where we differentiate. I will still take on a $500 a month customer. If they have one location and it's $500 a month, if the route makes sense, like for example, right? Like let's say there is a retail shopping center that I'm working in, and there's one mom and pop restaurant business inside of that retail shopping center, and that one client is $500 a month. It would be dumb for me to not take.
Oh yeah, if you want to make routes more productive, yes, I agree. Sometimes you're taking on a $300 customer because that could make the route a winner for the night. We all have a number that we have to do with that truck every night, and we need to make those routes as profitable. And I think that the next one we should do is talk about the route building. I don't think people understand that when they're talking about reoccurring commercial maintenance, I don't think they understand that this stuff goes on every month. Bam, 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 bam. Once you sell it, it keeps coming. Now, I think people get confused, and we have to talk about this as another one. What are the acquisition costs of getting a commercial client? I think people think that you're going to buy Google Ads or do something electronically, and I'm spending $3,000 or $4,000 a month. It's all personal selling, and it costs a lot of money, especially if you're the one doing it in your organization. Everybody always says, "Well, it's free." Jeff, I know you're watching. Jeff always says he spends zero money on marketing. Bullshit. Jeff's the highest paid employee he has. And I always try to remind these guys, your time is not free. Okay. Acquisition time, cold calling time, visiting customers, doing estimates, all these things are part of the acquisition cost. And you have to know these numbers. You have to know what you're going after. And that's why I always say, when I say I put a dollar amount on who I'm going to be going after, when I'm talking about, like when you talk about restaurant groups or property management groups, I'm always looking at what the potential is. That's going to be my number one factor in seeking out somebody. To build a route stronger and grab a $200 or $300 maintenance agreement to fit in with something that might be a smaller shopping center, absolutely, we're going to do that. As a matter of fact, we have a strategy for doing that, and it's a very simple strategy, and people all the time laugh about it, but we slap "We Were Here" cards on all the restaurants. It's kind of out of Pat Clark's book, but I was doing it before Pat. He does the 5 rounds in residential, right? We'll take in that shopping center every time the guys go there, they'll slap a "We Were Here" card on the back door of the restaurant. And sure enough, the general manager will, there's another one. They call us and say, "Hey man, the card says you were here." And I go, "Did you look at the other side?" And they go, "Oh, that's a price list. You want our business. Hey, I was thinking about this. I do want to hire you. I seen you in the shopping center. Bill across the way was telling us how great you're doing in his restaurant. I'm glad I got a hold of you because now I want to hire you." Bam. And that's how that sale happens quickly. And there's another little strategy that we play. There's another one you can take out of the book there, Robert.
We spend 5% of gross revenue on advertising and marketing.
I believe it.
Which
mine's much higher. Mine's much higher than that.
Which in the grand scheme of things is still a lot of money, right?
Oh, it's a lot of money.
We're not.
When you're $100,000 a month, it's a lot of money. You're talking about $5,000 a month.
When but our advertising and marketing dollars aren't going towards Google Ads or any type of ads. it's all going into network marketing, right? Like we're showing up at these events.
I think it's higher than 5%, Robert. I just don't think you're including your time, Sierra's time, and maybe even your sales.
I'm talking about hard dollars spent on actual marketing materials, event sponsorships, of like attending each event, whatever that might look like, hosting events, whatever that is. Hard dollars spent, we are at 5%. Yes, you are accurate. I mean, if we're talking in my hours, it's a shit ton of money.
Absolutely. I'm guessing more. I'm guessing
huge, but
20%.
That is what I enjoy doing inside of my business. I have come to the realization that being a technician is not my superpower.
So you're trying to tell me that you cold call every day?
Not every day, no. No. But at least a couple times a week. But I'm also not the only person inside of my company that's doing it.
Okay. Hey, you know what I want to do? I want to do this. I want to do a follow-up on the cold call. And what we'll do, we'll just cold call. And we'll play recorded cold calls because I know we both have them. We'll play recorded cold calls. That's going to be not the next one, but look that one down the road, guys. In a couple of months, Robert and I are going to do that. We're going to show you actual cold calls, and we're going to cold call some places. And you know what we'll do? We'll let the audience give us the numbers to cold call. How's that?
You want to cold call people in different places?
I'll cold call people at different places for different people. Why not? Who cares?
That's fine with me. I mean,
it doesn't matter. They can see the magic happen right before their very eyes.
I actually did that for one of my coaching clients for the first time last week, I think, and landed him a meeting with a huge company, massive opportunity. It was a first for me for calling for somebody else, and it went really well. Great book. Cold calling sucks, and that's why it works.
It's a pain in the ass. It's a pain in the ass for most people. But I just want to tell everybody this in closing, because we do got to get off this call, but we didn't get to cover everything we wanted to cover. But hey, there's a sheet right there, guys, and Robert and I are always more than happy to help in his group, which I'll throw the group link down in there too, because you should definitely join Commercial Pressure Washers. But guys, one of the things that people don't realize is when they talk about cold calling or visiting clients, everybody talks about being different. And that's the last thing on this sheet. And I'm just jumping to it. You've got to make the sales fun. If these people you're cold calling, when you actually go in and we don't actually knock on doors because they're usually open. We open them up and there's usually Becky, who's the gatekeeper right there. If you don't if you talk about being different, don't bring donuts, don't bring pizzas. Remember knowing the demographics. Now, if you go to the construction trailer and you bring them donuts, they're going to love it. Okay. but 35 to 50-year-old women that are on Ozempic are not wanting you to bring. Okay. That's the last thing that they're going to want in their office. And I always try to tell people, you've got to know who you're selling to. And this is one of the biggest reasons I try to hit this home. Make that experience unlike everybody else. Don't be the cheesy salesperson that walks through the door and wants their business and keeps asking them for the business. You've got to be more creative than that. You've got to create an atmosphere that when they see you in the parking lot coming to visit them again, they're excited, that they want to see you come in the door. They're not yelling in the office, hey, Ron and Robert are on their way in. Everybody close their door. They're not doing that, guys. They're not doing that. They want to know that you're coming. They know that you're bringing something that they like, not donuts. And I always tell people, everybody always says, what do you bring them? Whatever they want. That gatekeeper knows what everybody likes in that entire office, guys. Everybody. So, hey, you want to say something to wrap this thing up, Robert?
Yeah. Cold calling is huge. Start doing it. If you don't know how to do it, shoot me a message. Happy to help you. Secondly and lastly, CPW Live. We are getting ready to release the wait list for it. Should be out today. And by wait list, what I mean is last year we sold out. We are definitely going to sell out this year. It is going to be a freaking action-packed event. It will sell out quicker than it did last year. And so if you guys want to come to CPW Live in Vegas, February of 2027, watch out for the notification. I'm sure Ron will share it. We have a wait list form. You don't have to pay any deposit to get on the wait list. The only thing that you have to do is put in your information. You will be first to be notified to get access to tickets.
$99. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I'm not. I'm not going to charge any deposit to just get on the wait list.
No. I mean, I'm saying if they get on the waiting list, they'll first to access the first round of what it's going to cost at CPW. So they will
get the cheapest opportunity to come to CPW.
It'll be the most aggressive. I like aggressive. I like aggressive better than cheapest, but they're going to get the most aggressive deal. That's the way to go. And that's the whole gist of getting.
They will get the most value out of anybody else.
Absolutely. They're going to get the most value. That's right. The bang for the buck. Hey, Robert, what's our next one in 2 weeks? Let's just announce it. What is it? What are we going to do in 2 weeks? We're going to talk about working within the networking within the associations for the next.
Yeah, let's do that. That sounds good.
All right, let's do it. So that's what we're coming back with in 2 weeks. We'll see you guys back in 2 weeks, guys. We did the cold calling one here. We didn't get to cover nearly as much as we wanted to, but I'm going to drop the commercial group, Robert's commercial group in there. Get in there. He's happy to help you guys with any of those questions that you got. We're about 56 minutes. I'm going to kill this thing right now, guys. Great show today. Thanks again, Robert.
Yes,
and
sir.
Tune in next time. We're going to talk about joining your customer associations, how to go about doing that, why you need to do that, because it's crucially important, and it's part of the networking and relationship building program that this is all built about. Everything is built about relationships and trust. Ron Musgraves, Pressure Washing Institute, Contractors First. We're out.